Hey guys, it's Nick and Rich here from Nourish.
Hey, how are we all doing?
And today,
It's good to be back.
Nick and I are going to be talking about breathing, breath work. Are we breathing right? Are we breathing wrong?
What is it all about? Well, we're going to try and keep this one short, but we're going to touch on some fundamentals of why with something that we do all the time. We've done it since we were born. We even can do it when we sleep. Why it's so damn important, and we could go our whole lives without even thinking about it. But when we do think about it, how profound it can impact our mind, our body, and our life.
Great. So one point I wanted to bring up is why now are we hearing more and more about breath work? Breath work this, breath work that. Why has it become popular, trendy? Why are a lot more people talking about it these days?
That is a very good question. Very good question. Have I ever really sat and thought about it? No, but thinking about it now, a lot of people say breath work is the new yoga. It really took off over in the West, and there's yoga everywhere. Now breath work is having this wave coming through. I think we could say part of it is because there's been a big emphasis on mental health awareness over the last few years, hasn't there?
Sure.
Or a few years now. So much more people are talking about mental health and the challenges they've been through, going through. And one of the many tools when we're looking at mental health is breath work. And also thinking about it as well, a lot more people these days, at least in the circles we're in, and I think the general vibe is people are opening up now, even just a little bit, to more natural ways of living, and more bringing the healthcare back into like self-care. I got that off Wim Hof actually, so I can't claim that. But and so breath work falls into that as well. So it's definitely becoming more and more, and then there's obviously that a bit of trend going as well, you know?
Yeah, because when you started talking about breath work, so let's go back quite a few years ago.
10 years ago.
We were just getting into like yoga, and the yogic breathing is known as pranayama. And I know obviously you're a bit more clued up on that these days, but there is a difference, isn't there, between, say, the pranayama that you may learn when you practice yoga versus modern day breath work, as in Wim Hof. Whenever I speak to someone who is new to breath work, or breath work, it's usually followed by, I watched a Wim Hof video.
Oh yeah, you do the cold showers?
Yes.
Saying that, I haven't done a cold shower in quite a while actually. Been more mindful of the lower back, but definitely the sea dipping.
So Wim Hof, I think, in my opinion, really popularized it and got it more into the mainstream.
Yeah. And Wim Hof has been that's a very good point. He's 100% been a big impact in why breath work is so well known, I would say. But there's okay, so. And this could be a huge episode just talking about breath work because it's so diverse.
Yeah.
It's so simple actually, but the concept, but it's so diverse. Breath work, in my opinion, when you refer to breath work, you're talking about working with the breath. It's in the name. So you go from unconscious breathing, which is just, I'm just walking around doing my thing. I'm sleeping, I'm driving, I'm doing whatever. I'm not thinking about my breathing. And I'm just breathing how my nervous system is breathing me, kind of thing. So that's what we call unconscious breathing. And then when we shift into what we call working with the breath, aka breath work, that is when we're consciously aware of our breath,
right,
and we are consciously changing how we are breathing. The rate, the rhythm, the depth, like how many breaths we're taking a minute, how deep or shallow we're breathing, how fast we're breathing. This is how we're consciously changing how we breathe, and then that will then impact how our nervous system is responding. Because something that's very, very important, I'll try not to go too much on a tangent, but we can go weeks without food, okay? We can go how long? Days without water. But when it comes to the breath, our breathing, a couple of minutes, and for the majority of us, we're going to be in some deep trouble. So for that reason, I have read this before, and it's something that really resonates as well, and something I've thought about more and more and come to the conclusion. For that reason, our nervous system, our brain, our nervous system wants to know and prioritize how our breathing is going. If there's any sort of issue, any sort of impact to it, it wants to know. It wants this feedback so it can make change. So if you're choking or your breathing is restricted in other ways, this body has its unconscious sort of survival mechanism to get you breathing. Even the diaphragm itself can start to unconsciously, without your conscious control, really, should I say, start to thud to get you breathing again. So it has such a sort of fast track in the nervous system. We want to know what's going on, kind of thing. Think of it like that. So the signals are very on it, are very quick. There's a lot of biofeedback going on. So this is amazing because we can then consciously change where we're breathing, which changes the signals into the brain, which then changes the signals and changes how our body is feeling. So simply put, we can, if we breathe really fast, okay, this is almost like we're in danger, we're running from a predator. This will signal to the brain we're in sort of a threat. So our nervous system will release stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. So we rev ourselves up. We're sort of like mobilized. We're ready to go. But then you can also then breathe very slowly, very deeply, in a much more what we call coherent manner. And this will send very calming signals around the body and start to slow the system down, and also then shift us into what we call parasympathetic nervous system response. So AKA rest and digest, heal and restore, and help to secrete and produce these happy hormones, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins. They're all slightly different, but all are in the happy hormones. Sorry to interrupt. So basically what you're saying is the reason why it's so important to actually be aware of how you're breathing is because it can dramatically change and influence how you think and feel, but also and function.
In modern life, with a lot of modern day life stresses, if we are more switched on with how we breathe, we can have a much better outcome. Exactly, by just tuning into our breath.
And let me just close the loop on what I was saying, because I went off on one. You asked a question about breath work. Some people think breath work, like Wim Hof and stuff like that. Breath work is a huge spectrum of breathing techniques, okay? Some that rev us up, some slow us down, some find balance, some that work on a more deeper therapeutic level, all sorts of performance. So when you see Wim Hof breathing, for example, and a lot of the breath work you see now is what we call something conscious connected breathing. So it's where the inhale and the exhale are connected, okay? So you're breathing in this dynamic way. There's no pause at all, okay? So you'll breathe like that for a period of time, and it can be, it works on physical, mental, emotional, even spiritual levels, and it can help with releasing trapped emotion and energy. A lot of people refer, and it has its place, 100%. I love it. Literally just did a group session a couple of nights ago. But a lot of people will refer to just that as breath work, when actually breath work is working with the breath. So it's any. So to go back to when we're talking about yoga, the system in yoga is known as pranayama. I mean, I don't know how many breathing exercises are in there, and they all do so many different things, okay? So it's sort of dipping your toe in and not getting overwhelmed, because there's so much out there, and we're in this sort of like gold rush of breath work at the moment, and people qualifying it, doing a quick breath work training here and there. So it's sort of be open-minded, dip your toe in, and sort of explore what best serves you right now in this point in time in your life.
Yeah.
No, I was just going to say, be it physical, You want to increase how much oxygen is in the body and how well the body is using the oxygen. Be it stress, you're in a heady, overwhelmed stress period, so we want some more calming, releasing techniques. Or we've been carrying some tension and some tightness in the physical body, but also in the mind. Unprocessed, unpleasant experiences we've had that we didn't feel was the right time to fully process and release. So we're still carrying that stuff around with us.
Can you give an example of that? Like,
so
a family trauma?
Yeah, a family. Speak, Nick. A family trauma.
You need to put on a brave face. You need to be the tough guy, the tough woman. So you store that trauma internally.
Yeah. So for example, you're trying to look the protector, the provider for the family. Some unpleasant experiences happened. Everybody's very emotional, but you're trying to be the protector, the provider. So you feel this wave of emotion. You just want to cry. You just want to feel like just release and let it go. But no, if my children see me cry, they're going to see, mummy or daddy not
vulnerable,
weak,
or whatever.
And, I need to protect, So you actually hold your breath. You actually stop or alter your breathing. And as this wave of energy and emotion comes up, you stop it and you basically send it back down. What this does is it actually slows down, or even like energy in motion. So it actually starts to interrupt with this natural flow. Energy likes to move, and we don't want to stagnate. And we can then lock it in us. We don't fully process it. And we can then carry that around, and that can manifest over time as random aches and ailments and conditions of various parts in the body. We can hold a lot of stress and trauma in the lower back and the hips. So you can actually do a type of breath work to almost complete that emotional release, complete that cycle. So as you breathe, you create a higher frequency. You allow it to basically start to come up to the surface. And during this time, if it becomes too much, too intense, and you want to do it with somebody that is holding the space, facilitating it well, you don't want to re-traumatize yourself, but you allow the body to naturally start to bring this energy up to be processed. And you do your best to just be more the observer. So it's a case of moving away from this point of being in reaction and into more responsive and the observer. So you can breathe in this higher frequency and allow this energy that you've suppressed for so long to now come up and be released. And it might be a physical sensation, some tingling, emotion, some anger, some upset. And they've done this study. I haven't actually looked into the study, but a very well-respected breathworker quoted it in his book. And yeah, that you can look into the study. It's all been sort of logged, should I say. They somehow managed to track when somebody was having an emotional experience. If you can allow the emotion to come up, rise through you, and then pass, within 90 seconds, it can be completed and gone. But for so many of us, we might feel anger or rage or upset come up, but it's not the right time, or we deem it's not the right time to let it come out and express it. It's not safe to express, or we feel it's not safe to express. So then hold the breath, push it back down, and then we might carry that, instead of for 90 seconds, we might carry that around for the rest of our life, or for a matter of weeks, months, or years.
So
before and then all the knock-on effects that come with it.
So for most people who, a lot of us live pretty hectic, fast-paced lives, financial stress, maybe family stress, relationship stress, work stress, whatever. What most people are maybe unaware of is they are accumulating those stress hormones in the body, in the tissues. So let's say someone is interested in learning some quick and effective breathwork techniques so that they can help lower those levels of stress, so that maybe they're struggling with anxiety, overwhelm. What are some of the quick and effective things that they could do in the morning, lunch break at home before they got to deal with the family or the boss or whatever. What are some of the things that they can just really quickly do in the moment? Like, okay, a perfect example, let me say this and then you just do your bit, is you told me about how we breathe. If we start breathing, faster and faster, that is triggering us to get ready to like fight or flight, right? But
Correct.
then if we start to slow the breathing down, we're signaling to our body, oh, it's time to relax, we're going to sleep. So the nervous system and everything calms down. So what I have done a lot is in moments where I feel myself getting like fired up, red up, anxiety, whatever, I think, okay, cool, I'm going to do that slow breathing. And that has definitely helped. So that is, say, one of them, and I'm sure you could explain that far better than I could. But what are some of the other quick and effective things people could do when they've got so many other things to be thinking about?
Yeah, so, and that's a great question, because one thing I really like to get a point across is we haven't always got to take ourselves off and do a full-on breathwork journey here, or a meditation and close our eyes. What can we actually do
While we're driving,
walking, in real time, in the moment? So when somebody, when a colleague or boss is giving you some crap and shouting at you, and you feel this rage coming up, so you don't pick up the laptop and smash around the head. You could do. What can you do to keep your cool and move out of like this attack fire reaction and into a more balanced, or even just a little bit more balanced, responsive person that isn't going to regret what they've done 10 seconds later? In the moment techniques are fantastic for that. So one that I tell everybody about is something called 4-4-6-2 breathing. So it's a ratio breathing where you breathe in for 4, hold for 4, you breathe out for 6, and you hold for 2. Okay, you breathe in through your nose for a count of 4, you hold, be still, relax the body for a count of 4, and then you exhale nose or mouth. You can get more of a sort of physical release sensation when you breathe out through your mouth. But nose or mouth on the exhale, and then a hold for 2. Okay, and this has been found to be a really effective way to just slow and calm the system down quite quickly. For a few reasons, but some of the main reasons and some of the basic fundamentals in breathing is when we breathe in, our heart naturally beats a little bit faster. And when we exhale, our heart actually slows down a little bit, okay? When we inhale, the increase in the heart rate is controlled by what we call our sympathetic nervous system. So this is our fight, flight, freeze response. So this is adrenaline, this is cortisol. And when we exhale, this is our relaxation that I was talking about, parasympathetic response. So this is just calming, soothing things down. So by simply spending longer on the exhale than the inhale, we can spend longer shifting ourselves into the phase of relaxation. It doesn't just mean one long exhale and we're completely chilled out, but it's at least pointing the nervous system in that direction. Little things like as we breathe in through our nose, because our nose is a smaller passageway for the air compared to the mouth, our body has this natural way to slow our breathing down. Apart from anything else, the nose prepares, it warms, it humidifies the air, it picks some of the dust and the nasties out the air. A gas called substance nitric oxide produced in the nose. It's like antiviral, antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, so many things. It's incredible substance. Also is produced in the nasal cavity. So you take in all this good stuff. So when we're looking at something like 4-4-6-2 breathing, we're breathing in for 4, we're holding for 4, and then we're exhaling for 6. So that's a longer exhale and a hold for 2. And the pauses, okay, that allows carbon dioxide actually just to increase slightly. And in the right proportion, carbon dioxide is actually really, really good for you. For a lot of us, we've been told, or for the majority of us, we've been told, inhale oxygen, yes, exhale carbon dioxide, bad. When actually, if you have too much oxygen, you're screwed. If you have too much carbon dioxide, you're screwed. It's a beautiful balance between the two. And so much of breath work is playing with your levels of CO2. And again, that's probably a whole conversation just on carbon dioxide. But what has been found is carbon dioxide, aka CO2, less of a mouthful, acts as what we call a vasodilator, meaning that's a fancy word for saying dilating blood vessels. So if you think about it, if your blood vessels dilate, this helps to slow blood pressure and helps to then bring the heart rate down as well. So it's a cooling and calming effect. 4-4-6-2 breathing. You can do it anytime. Repeat as many times as you want, really, until you feel the desired effect. Another one that is a good one for like burning off some stress and tension, and like a midday pick me up, gives you a bit of energy and focus, but also helps to like burn off some of the anxiety, is then actually breathing. Funnily enough, on the opposite end of the spectrum is what we call 20 connected breaths. Okay, so this is 4 quick breaths and then followed by 1 slow breath, and so that'll be 5 breaths, and then you repeat that for 4 rounds, which gives you 20 connected breaths. So you can go in nose, out nose, in nose, out mouth, or mouth breathing. I quite like to do in and out through the nose. Yeah. So I'll just do 1 quick round so you can see it, but it's literally, it looks and sounds something like this. Okay, so that's obviously the 5. You repeat that for 4 rounds. And then you can always end with like a little breath hold, or just come back to your breath awareness. What's important with all these techniques, when you inhale, you feel your abdomen expand. That means we're using our diaphragm and we're drawing in a full breath. And when you exhale, you just let the belly relax, abdomen relax, and then the breath will sort of almost take care of itself on the exhale. We want to make sure we're using what we call belly breathing. We're not breathing into our belly. We're breathing, a bit of sort of science here. As we inhale, the diaphragm, which is like one of our main breathing muscles, which is just tucked under the underside of the rib cage, that contracts down, which acts almost like a vacuum, helps to pull the air and draw the air in for a full expansive inhale. So then as the diaphragm is moving down, we displace our internal organs sort of like down and out to create that extra space for the breath. So it looks like our belly, we're breathing with our belly, and that's where the name comes from. But we're not actually breathing, we're breathing air into the lungs, not the belly. I went off on one.
No, it's sweet. But good going off on one, because you've gone into great detail, because I hope that answers some of the questions for people who might have started thinking, well, we all breathe. I don't need to be told how to breathe or that, because many of us in modern times, we breathe from the chest. It's stimulating the stress. Is that not correct? Like the stress hormones.
That is correct. It's one of them, which is kind of funny. It sort of almost discredits it. Well, not discredits it. Maybe that's not the right thing to say, but you talk about breathing, and it's almost like you're telling me how to breathe. Like I've been breathing since I was born. I breathe when I sleep. I've been breathing my whole life. You're going to tell me how to breathe? Thanks, but no thanks, mate. I think I've worked this out.
But for many of us, we've actually been breathing wrong.
Yeah. Modern day living stimulates our nervous system into stress response, so we shift into a stressful form of breathing. Stress is only meant as a short-term phase, obviously that impacts our nervous system, because if we're in a stressful phase, how that looks in the nervous system is survival. So we need to fight our way out of a situation, flight our way, freeze, play dead. And then when we get ourselves ideally into a safe place again, we can calm and relax. So during that point of sort of survival mode, when we get survival mode, if a man is running after you to attack you, it's a case of running as fast as you can or being as strong as you can to fight them off. So during that time, your sort of immune system slows down, because
I was literally about to say,
you don't need
the immune system.
your immune system if you're taking action. Your digestion slows down, your reproduction slows down, blood flow goes more away from the internal organs, more to the extremities, to our arms and to our legs, so we have more energy to fight and flight and run and grab and climb a tree, whatever.
So many minor or major illnesses or diseases, things that might not be right with us, actually one thing that could be underpinning that, or a factor, is actually just our breathing. Our day-to-day breathing could seriously be sending us down the wrong road.
Correct. It really can.
So for people who are interested to, they're like, okay, cool, I'm going to explore this breathwork thing, I haven't got a lot of time, how can they go about doing it? Is there stuff that can they get in touch with you? Have you got some stuff they can look at?
Hey, there is like with a lot of things now, that you can find so much online, so much on YouTube. Dip your toe in, try different styles and techniques, depending on where you're at, what your mind and body life requires, where you're at, But like for me, for example, I run classes in person, online. But what we have done, didn't we? We did a little while ago now. We set up just a little sort of dip your toe in, get a feel for with the short series of breathing techniques, wasn't it? For finding your inner calm. And this is a set of breathing exercises and a sort of follow along schedule and some lifestyle tweaks, just so you can sort of break more barriers down, and how you can actually fit it into a daily practice. Because for a lot of us, I speak for us, we're so busy, how can I fit more stuff in? But if we can learn ways of just sort of dropping things in little places, we can start to build a healthy habit. So with this inner calm guide that we created, that does have a sort of a schedule and just like top 10 lifestyle tweaks to try and naturally reduce and calm things down, not just focused around breath work.
But like even, things like things that a lot of us are guilty of, it is looking at our phone too earlier in the day, or
last second before we close our
social
eyes.
media, all that overstimulation, what that is doing to our body, our nervous system. So it was kind of like a bit of a top 10 kind of like, not a to-do list, but a little kind of rough guide of, I had no idea that this, even out of foods and drinks, and how that can really mess with our minds and our bodies.
Yeah, exactly. Like I had no idea. Yeah, X, Y, and Z all contributes towards me feeling more stressed, more overwhelmed, and more unable to shut down and slow down. And then it gives an alternative, a more natural way of finding your fix, or calming you down, or so you haven't always got to hit the bottle, or whatever it is,
So
so that inner calm guide is a sort of beginner's how-to, gives you a bit of nuts and bolts, a bit of science of breath work, and it's focused more around finding your inner calm.
And people can catch up with you like on social media and stuff, so we'll link all of that in all the linked clips and stuff.
But it's for modern day life, the thing is, the world has evolved at such a fast rate. Our sort of nervous system hasn't really caught up with it, if we're completely honest. There's this still like ancestral wiring, survival mechanism in our nervous system, part of our nervous system. So what used to be triggered if we're out on the plains, caveman days, when we had to protect our tribe or fight from a predator, that would be our stress response. We would kick in, we'd fight, flight, or freeze, get ourselves to safety, ideally, and then we'd come back to more of a homeostasis, more of a balance. But unfortunately, nowadays, the phone pinging, the noise of the traffic, worry about self-image, social media, how sexy do I look on Instagram, money issues, I mean,
you name it.
The bombardment of technology, etc., and the list goes on. This is all stimulating our nervous system, just like exactly the same as back in the day when we were cavemen. So, although there's, how do I say this? Back then, we'd have a very small amount, should I say, of things that are impacting us, triggering our stress response. Now we have, tens, hundreds that we could come encounter with every day. But how it translates into the nervous system is exactly the same as back in the day of survival from the saber-toothed tiger. So this is something that not a lot of us really think about, and this is where breath work and conscious breathing can be a technique and a tool that we can carry around with us anywhere, anytime, to help to mitigate the negative impact of modern day life.
So if it's not a saber-toothed tiger that's stressing you out, it could be Facebook or Instagram, social media. Exactly. So breath work is incredibly powerful for all areas of your life, especially modern day living.
Yeah, and it can be such a huge topic, and there's so many you could splinter off on so many different things to talk about, so many different
and I think we'll do that.
That will probably be coming up in some upcoming episodes. This was just like a kind of, let's just touch a little bit on it, but again, this is the tip of the iceberg. I think just understanding the sort of fundamentals and foundations of what even breath work is, conscious breathing, and how it can best suit you for right now in this time of your life, be it on a physical, mental, emotional, spiritual level. I think that's
pretty good. So
we'll leave it as that.
If we leave it as that, and then I think let's create that series. And obviously anyone who has any questions, it would be great, because then we can put that kind of mini series together covering different areas in greater detail and that real world 100%. Application.
I think what's exciting as well, actually, so the journey of breathwork started 10 years ago when we started practicing yoga. Then 5 or so years ago, then I went more into like breathwork training and did a couple of courses there. But what's exciting actually is in a couple of months, 2.5 months, me and Nikki are heading back to India. We were there this time 7 years ago. So we're heading back to do another yoga teacher training. It'll be Nikki's first one, my second one. So super buzzing about that.
Kerala.
Yeah, in Kerala, right down on the coast, Varkala in Kerala. We're going to be exploring pranayama again as well. So we're going to be practicing Ashtanga and Hatha. Really excited to sort of dive back into the pranayama side of things. So we'll be running, my sessions will go all from, won't be doing any in person obviously while we're away, unless you're in India. Come and do it in person, Varkala Beach, February, March time. But then we'll be doing the sessions online, so that's going to be really exciting, so watch out for them.
Nice. Sweet. Cool. Well, I think we'll leave it as that. And we'll focus on getting some more. So
that's funny.
That is cool. It's really good.
So just fire loads of stuff out.
Yeah. I think what we'll do is we'll do some more conversation stuff, but then I think you could have just done that all yourself.
He's laughing at me. He's laughing.
I don't know if there's been much value that I've added to this, but
but you ask the questions that sometimes when you're too far into something, you think, well, everyone knows that. When actually, no, everyone doesn't. The amount of times I've started talking breathwork, and you just shut off because I go too deep and too sciencey. So Rich helps to keep it more grounded. So that's really good. So you've
but next time, I think I'll have a list of questions, and I make sure that we hit all those questions. So I've got more questions. I'm sure you've got more questions. And I know you've got a lot more to share with us.
Talk.
So
we'll leave it as that, guys. But hey, thanks for dropping in. And today we're in the lovely Highcliffe home of me and Nikki. I think she's just turned up somewhere. Check out that lovely. We try and have as many green plants as we can. Anyway, so it's been really nice to do this episode from here. And there'll be
more coming from here.
More to come. So
before you guys head off to India. And then it'll be from India as well.
Yes.
Awesome.
Cool. Next stop, Slovakia, though, in a couple of weeks.
Ah, amazing. All right.
Anyway, we'll leave it as that. So, yeah, big love.
And
That's a wrap.
see you soon.